Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Prop Beaver's getting these guys on the stream. The reason that they're not on there yet is I sent them the wrong link. So this one's on me. But yeah, while Prop Beaver's getting everyone on the screen. So last night when I was working, I put on Joker 2. And look, I watched the movie. Everyone is obviously hating on the movie. And personally, I think musicals can be enjoyable. I like music. I like musicals. So I planned on watching it I was searching for this take. You guys are overreacting. It's not that bad. I didn't understand a single second of the film. It was the ending. I really am taken back. All they had to do was just use that cool score that they used for the first one, put a couple cool Joker scenes in it, and I would have been like very disappointed. Hey guys.
What's up?
So yeah, we're gonna I only have one NBA bet, so I'm letting these guys take the mic for the NBA. But my one bet is this game right here. Cleveland, Boston, and it's about time for Cleveland to be knocked down a peg here. Boston's going to remind them where they stand in the pecking order. What Cleveland's done so far is adorable. I've won some bets on it. But Boston wins this one, -5.5. I mean, we're only, 14 games into the season. What is that equivalent to NFL? Week 3? And all of a sudden, the Celtics are 11-3, and we're like, they're not the best team in the NBA anymore. Of course they are. At home against Cleveland. This is, under 6. I'm in. I bet this. Gentlemen?
Who wants to go first?
Whoever wants
to stay. Not everybody at once.
First. Lindy can go first. Kyle go first. Lindy goes second, and then you can go third. Moda, I'll go last.
Okay, sounds good. I like Al Horford 16.5 PRA. This is going to be playing more like a playoff game, obviously. Cleveland 15-0, ridiculous stuff. As you start to parse through the minutes on how this is potentially going to play out, I think you probably see fewer. I mean, Nimi Escada has been pretty decent for them so far. Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser, but I think you might see a little bit more of a condensed rotation. And I haven't thought that this was going to be the same type of NBA Cup minutes bump that we've seen in the years past, but it's kind of coming to fruition here. And it's just a tough game for me to evaluate because you go through some of these individual pieces. I just want to go through the Cleveland side of things and how unsustainable their shooting has been. I want to highlight pretty much Ty Jerome because this is starting to get stupid and I don't really believe it. So I know they have a number of pieces that are questionable coming into this one, but as you start breaking everything down for him, 57.7% from 3, 71.2% effective field goal percentage, 73.9% true shooting on the year. I mean, the guy is playing unsustainably well here off the bench for them. Darius Garland has been out of control himself, rightfully getting highlighted as the guy that, if it weren't for injuries, we would be talking about Darius Garland in a completely different light. But for me, the only thing that I think sticks out whatsoever, because I think the spread's about efficient and exactly where I would be setting this one. A lot of places that I trust kind of on the same page as well. Al Horford, just small minutes bump makes that 16.5 PRA playable.
That's over, Lindy?
Yes, over on that. Yeah, thank you.
So far, the Cavs' road wins are the Wizards, the Raptors, the Sixers, the Pelicans, the Bucks by 1 point, and the Knicks. So they do have a couple nice ones in there, but honestly, none that would be equal to a win in Boston. Moda.
You mentioned the guy I like. It's Darius Garland over 2.5 made 3-pointers. I got it at +115 right now. Best offered at +105. I would still take it there. FanDuel is the only book giving you plus money on that, which always makes me kind of nervous because I feel like FanDuel, whenever they're crazy off the market, generally they know something. But I like the play. I mean, Garland's shooting career high per 36 in 3-point attempts, shooting 42.4%, specifically on pull-up 3-pointers. So he's shooting well on the increased volume. And pull-up guards is how you target the Celtics defense. And I mean, Donovan Mitchell, just to give you context, his over-under 3-point prop is over 4.5. It's plus money, but still, he shouldn't be priced at 2 3-pointers higher than Darius Garland. Yes, he takes more, but not to make up for that difference. And last year, the Celtics allowed the most pull-up three-point attempts per game at 11.4. They're actually allowing more this year. The difference is, like, they're allowing 11.6, like slightly more, but still more. That's down to 13th most in the NBA. So, like, in general, three-point shooting is significantly up this year, but it hasn't really caught up for this specific market on Darius Garland. Like, I don't think he should be plus money to make 3 threes. He's in a little bit of a slump, which I'm guessing has to do with that, but that just makes me like it even more. That's just what happens with three-point props. Like, he's hit it in 8 of 15 games, but he's only done it in 1 of his last 5. So pretty good opportunity to buy low on that. So yeah, I went with Darius Garland over 2.5 made 3-pointers. Chris,
are you with me on Boston?
Yep, we are aligned, Kyle. I took Boston, and it's like our shows are saying, because I mentioned this, like, this is the only bet that I made today too. I got like a couple of like one other small sprinkle on a player prop that I never go too heavy on. But yeah, you mentioned it, Kyle. Like a 15-0 team on the road, and then an adult. What are the books telling us here? It's about that time, right? So I looked into it. Outside of that specifically, though, I think Boston does have the rest advantage here. There's 2 days of rest to 1. Boston also has the rest advantage after the game. They don't play again until Friday. They play one of the strongest teams in the NBA. They got the Washington Wizards. So big look ahead spot in DC on Friday. And you got to, granted, they're coming off the overtime game. But then on the opposite side, you got Cleveland. They did rest Donovan Mitchell, but they played on Sunday and they play again before. So that's something that I've been kind of tracking since 2018, well, 2021. Teams with the home favorite with more rest before and after the game, they're covering about 55% of the time. And then you mentioned it, Kyle. I looked in the database. Teams that have won 10 straight games, and all of a sudden, the books put them as a dog. They're 10-28 straight up, 11-27 against the number, only covering 28.9% of the time. So, I mean, that's not 15
Hold on,
games.
so
That's
read
just
that
10
trend
games.
again. That was interesting. Say that again.
So this is teams that have won 10 straight games, and then all of a sudden, the books put them as a dog. They're 10-28 straight up.
Wow.
11-27 against the spread, 28.9%. From a, outside of the trend perspective, the one thing that Cleveland has really struggled with is guarding the three-point line. And what does Boston love to do? Jack up a bunch of threes. I can see them going in. I think Missoula just has this team ready. I don't see Boston like losing this game on their home floor against a team that has the much better record. There's like this, some conversation going around that Boston doesn't care about the cup because today is cup play for everybody that's listening. Because they didn't lose as outright as 16 and a half or 16-point favorites against Atlanta the other day. Boston can win the cup if they want to. It starts with winning this game if they, even want to take that serious and want to compete. So I did lay the 4.5 here, Kyle. It's actually my favorite bet of the day.
I got 5.5. But yeah, the way I was looking at that trend is cool. Teams that have won 10 straight and are now underdogs are 10-27, 11-28 against a number, whatever it was. But the way I'm looking at it is just to put it into NFL terms, because that's what everyone can compute quickly. We've been through 15 NBA games, which is equivalent to about 3 NFL games. This would be like if the Bengals were on the road at Kansas City and the Bengals were 3-0 and the Chiefs were 2-1. And you're like, how can you lay points to the undefeated Bengals? They're undefeated. And you're like, dude, it's the Chiefs. They're 2-1. We're 15 games in. That's like what I'm saying here. Dude, it's the Celtics. They're 11-3. We're the Celtics at home and under 6. You got to take it. So, yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it. Next game. Charlotte, Brooklyn. I'm good. Lindy, Chris, Modai, whoever wants to talk, I'm just going to listen.
I'll go Ben Simmons over 12.5 rebounds plus assists here in this spot. Again, it's kind of strange. A lot of my unders are going to come closer to game time purely because you see the market kind of move this direction. But I think you can jump in. This one's actually kind of gotten bet down into a spot where you're getting plus money on the other side of this one. I'm trying to see exactly where it's at here at the moment as opposed to just on the ticket. But plus 105 earlier in the day on DK. I think this kind of goes one of two ways. Ben Simmons starts, which I think is the prevailing wisdom here at the moment. You're still without Day'Ron Sharpe, Nicholas Claxton. Bojan Bogdanovic even, would be somebody who was out there. He's pretty close to coming back here as well. All three of those guys should be back by the end of next week. But Ben Simmons can play some 5 here, especially when you consider Grant Williams on the other side of this one, going to be playing primarily the 5. If you just put his baseline at like 24 minutes there, yes, he has to share the floor with Dennis Schroeder, and you see a dip in the assist rate there. But if you end up having him come off the bench or, minutes staggered like you would expect, you're probably getting right around the same workload. He kind of has been capped no matter what. So I think this is kind of like, it's not damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's kind of the opposite of that here. As you start to lay out the projections for it, you just take his numbers per 100. You cut it in half. And then you get a Charlotte side that should be pushing a little bit of pace here so far on the season. Hasn't been like breakneck speed by any means. Charlotte been lower than you would expect, I think, in terms of pace, sitting there at 98.4 possessions per 48 minutes. But this is a game that Ben Simmons should be able to at least be able to create, do his normal Ben Simmons things, and the rebounds. I'm surprised that teams haven't completely eviscerated Charlotte playing as small as what they have been, but Diabate's been decent off the bench, I suppose. It's coming, though. It's coming.
So Simmons over 12.5 rebounds and assists. Yeah, I think it was RotoWire had Simmons listed as the starting 5.
I think he's going to be the starting 5. I think that's the favorite in the clubhouse. Otherwise, Trendon Watford would be your starting 5 that they would be going towards, but I think that's unlikely. And then you get a bump in assist rate where you'd stagger it off of Schroeder.
Yeah, well, this has got to be the only show in history that's got 2 Ben Simmons props. I took his over assist.
Go team.
So obviously, I love the rebounds angle too. I was close to that. I just went specifically with the assists. I mean, it's 25 minutes. You can rely on him. He's been pretty good this year. Like he's gotten 6 assists in 7 of 10 games. One game he went under, he had 5, and only twice when he went over did he hit exactly 6. Like more often than not, he's kind of smoking the over. Every other game, like in 5 of them, he's gotten 8. So if you do want to ladder that up to 8+, you can get that at plus 240. I haven't done that yet, but I don't think that's a terrible look. The potential assist is honestly why I don't think it quite has the ladder potential, because he's averaging a little bit over 11 potential assists per game, and only twice this year he hasn't gotten the double digits. So like if he's getting 11 potential assists, 6 actual assists makes a lot more sense than 8, which is, again, I mean, I do think it's ladder potential, but I'm just sticking with the 6. Great matchup against the Hornets. I mean, everywhere you look at where they're weak are generally assisted plays. Second most points per game to the pick and roll man. I mean, Ben Simmons at this point in his career is not running a ton of pick and rolls, but if he runs, I mean, if any of the roll man scores, that's an assist. 4th most points per possession to spot up shooters. That's generally an assisted play, depending on if they like attack a closeout, how many dribbles they take and stuff. 5th most points per game via dribble handoffs. Again, it just depends how many dribbles the player takes after the handoff, but generally that's an assisted play. And third most points off of screens. And yeah, as you mentioned, we got injuries for the Nets. That means Simmons might start, and him and Schroeder means a lot more assists for Simmons and a lot less for Schroeder. So I'll take my chances on him to get to 6. I got it at minus 125. Admittedly, the market moved against me. You can now get it at minus 110 at FanDuel, but yeah, I still like the look.
This guy, Jason Swan, in the comments kind of summed up how if I was to bet this game, that's kind of the way I look at it as well. He said the Nets only have a good ATS record because they're almost always 8+ point dogs. I wouldn't have phrased it like that, but yeah, I mean, the Nets have been covering a lot of numbers. They are usually the underdog here, laying points. Both these teams gaping holes in the front court. I would lean towards Charlotte. I'd probably be leaning towards whoever was catching points here. So you could put Charlotte plus 3 up for me, but no chance a single dollar of mine goes on this game.
Kyle, did you look at did you look into the game outside of what you just said?
No, just the injury reports. That's it.
Okay, got you. So yeah, I think Lindy made a strong case for what I was going to say as well. It's just it's the lack of rim protection. Like this is a game to me kind of speaks over, but I didn't play it. When you don't have Nicholas Claxton out there, I was looking at that. They're plus 4.6 in point differential with him on the floor. Defensively, they're light years better. Defensive rating, giving up about 111 points, scored per 100 possessions. But with Ben Simmons, with Nicholas Claxton off the floor, they're minus 8.6. So it's no way I'm laying points with Brooklyn here. And they're giving up 123.7 points scored per 100 possessions. To me, both of these defenses have been really, really terrible. But then when I look at who they've been playing, the Hornets played against the Cavs. The Cavs scored 128 points. They won the second leg of a back-to-back. They went up and over against the Bucks as well. And then when I look at the Nets, their defense, like that's what their calling card was early when they were covering some of these numbers. But their last 3 games, 2 of them come against the Knicks, 1 against the Celtics. So their defensive rating in all 3 games have actually gone up and over the total. I kind of feel like without the true centers for both teams, like primary and secondary centers, because the 4 top centers for these teams, both teams are both out of the game. I kind of feel like they can go up and over the total here, but there's nothing I put my money on.
All right, let's move on to the next one. And The next one, I'm super good on this one as well. There's no way I was taking time out of looking at this weekend's loaded college football slate to handicap the Nuggets-Memphis game with no Morant, no Jokic. I'm good. So I have nothing to even say here.
You're not a psycho, Kyle, I guess?
No.
Oh, okay.
Way too many college football games on Saturday for me to take a minute out of my day to look at this one.
You are a psycho, just not today with all the college football. I got it.
Yeah.
I have absolutely nothing. I'm just going to highlight something that is just insane. It is the splits for the Nuggets between Nikola Jokic on the floor and off the floor, which shouldn't shock anybody. He's the best player in the NBA by every statistical category. Raptor loves him, everything. Darko loves him, every advanced model. I mean, this is the best player in the NBA, but 382 minutes that they've had Nikola Jokic on the floor here so far this season, 62.5% true shooting as a team. With Nikola Jokic off the floor, 45% true shooting as a team. We're talking insane splits in terms of shooting. It's only 107
Hold on,
minutes.
where would those rank in the NBA? Would that be first and 30th?
So it's in terms of offensive rating, it's first and 30th with Jokic on and off. So that's insane. Actually, no, third in on, dead last in offensive rating off. But
that's
just
crazy.
Some of these splits are just insane. 35.7% field goal percentage compared to 50.9% with him on. We're talking like one of the biggest disparities you could possibly have in a basketball team. I think if you made me do anything, I would take Memphis, but it's still a Memphis team that has a couple of issues themselves. I mean, I obviously think that this is pretty efficient, and so I'm going to be sticking away. But yeah, I just don't see how you see anything on the Denver side. I'm going to continue to say it. Jamal Murray could not break the rotation for Canada. He was the worst player in the entire Olympics this summer. I don't know what's going on with him. Tyrese Halliburton, I still think, has a bum shoulder. So, I mean, I can make excuses for some of these guys, but there's regression in Jamal Murray's game. He's had a bunch of injuries in his past. He found a way to just ride Jokic's coattails into a title, got hot shooting at the right time. But, man, he's been playing as a negative basketball player so far this season.
Yeah, I would say, like, hey, why not an over if the Nuggets shooting percentage is going to be in the toilet without Jokic? You can't trust the offense. But I'm looking at these game logs, and it looks like the Grizzlies have actually played some fast-paced games in there. So, yeah, I'm good. Modi?
Yeah, pass. I got nothing.
Chris?
I play under, Kyle, and a lot of it, a lot of it was what Lindy just said, man. This Denver team. So the last two games without Nikola Jokic, they just played against this Grizzlies team. They scored 90 points, I think it was, and then they played against the Pelicans, who were like starving for a win in the first game that Nikola Jokic didn't play in, and I think they scored 89. Like, how are they getting to 110 points today without him on the floor? Like, it's a clear under spot. The total in the last game was 227.5. The odds makers expect less points in this game. And I mean, shouldn't we all? It's down to 224.5. That's why I grabbed it at, because I didn't see it when the news first came out. But in those spots, right? When you know, I'm a big trend guy. So looking at teams playing within a 7-day sample, previous game went under, line makers opened the total lower than the previous total. That's 60% trend, going all the way back to 2013. I'm willing to ride it in this spot. I think probably team total under, but I think Memphis is going to want to play harder in this game. Not offensively. They don't have it. So I expect them to be a little bit more defense in this game. I expect it to be slower pace. So I did grab the under at 224.5.
Someone said Kyle knows nobody's betting or watching NBA tonight. It's Max at Northern Illinois, Miami, Ohio. No, it's not that nobody is. It's just I personally am not. You guys that subscribe to the channel, you know how I like to do things. And this is not to say that the way I do things is the right way. But I'm a data guy, and I don't like point and pick. If I'm placing a bet, it's because I put time into it. And I'm not saying everyone should put more time. Some people, like, they get more volume down because they go through the slate quicker, and there could be value to that. Completely get it. Just the way I personally like to do it, I just don't have the time right now. 2 more weeks after Thanksgiving, and I'll start doing my NBA uploads, and we'll really get into it. If you remember last year, January is when I got real hot in the NBA. So it's coming. But right now, yeah, Miami, Northern Illinois should be a banger tonight. Let's move on. All right. Pelicans, Mavs. Man, I guess if Luka plays Mavs, I don't know. Lindy?
Yeah, I have a small play on the under here. It was at 224.5 yesterday, minus 112. It's sitting at 222.5, minus 108. This comes down to Luka being an uncertain piece here for sure. I think that definitely helps as you start to break it down. But the Pelicans, I'm surprised like that we're seeing this type of Brandon Ingram out here right now. Brandon Boston's been all right for them as well. Hasn't resulted in a lot of winning basketball by any means, but I kind of look at my predicted, like I basically do output for each individual player and try to kind of piece together what those rotations are going to look like. And Yves Messi, somebody that offensively doesn't really have a whole lot that he's adding to the table. He's just basically out there to be a stopper. The Mavs been playing more minutes for Derek Lively, who I evaluate as a pretty darn good defender. He actually led the Mavs last season during the playoffs in on-off court rating. I mean, the guy was the best adjusted defensive rating player in the entire playoffs for Dallas last year. And offensive rating, actually. I just looked at that too, which is insane. So Derek Lively, more minutes for him. Good for the under here as well. Overall, it's a pretty thin play, though. Admittedly, I don't have a whole lot else to add.
Morai?
Yeah, I didn't bet this one. I kind of like the Missy rebounds if I were to take anything. Like he's been playing more with all the injuries to the Pelicans in his last 4 games, 11, 10, 12, and 7 rebounds. So the over-under is 7.5. Sorry, 7.5 for plus money, or you're paying a super juiced over 6.5. So for me, I would obviously rather just take the over 7.5 for plus money and take my chances. I might actually bet this one, so take that with a grain of salt, but that's where I would go in this one.
Someone in the comments posted the same thing. The Juice said he was on Missy rebounds too. So I think Missy has 2 S's, prop Ever. So I think you're about to put it up spelled incorrectly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I haven't been watching too much ball this year.
Chris?
I don't really have anything to contribute. I think, just going along with what Lindy said about the under makes a lot of sense. You got a Pelicans team, 3rd game in 4 nights, 4th game in 6 nights. This team is just 4-10 straight up. And against the spread, they've went under 3 straight games for their last 5 games. It's not a lot of offensive efficiency out there. First leg of a back-to-back with the Cavs tomorrow as well. Dallas, probably super. I'm not sure they get up for this game, coming off a big win against Oklahoma City. They got the Denver Nuggets on Friday as well. So, and it's a 3rd game in 4 nights, 4th game in 6 nights for them as well. So I would kind of lean towards maybe even just a isolated team total for the Pelicans. This team is 1-5 straight up, 0-6 against the spread on the road, scoring 96 points per game. So maybe a Pelicans team total under 104.5. I didn't bet it.
We got a comment in from Magic Mark that says, "Can you give a good parlay to bet on, please? I need to buy my kids gifts for Christmas."
My Christ.
All right. Next up is what's last? We got Oklahoma. Oh no, we got 2 more. I am searching for an opportunity to fade this super small Oklahoma City team, but they just keep
stop doing it, Cal. I told you the other day, don't do it.
I mean, I can't do it here. There's no Wemby. If Wemby was playing, I'm in on the Spurs, but I can't. What am I going to? Zach Collins is going to dominate the paint here. I actually like Zach Collins. It's just shouldn't hate on him.
We'll talk about Zach Collins later.
Okay. Oh, you got a Zach Collins prop, Morai? Oh, take the mic, man. Let's hear it. Zach Collins.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so I took over 22.5 points, rebounds, assists. It was weird. The second Wemby got ruled out, the market got steamed the other way. Like now you can get over 21.5 for minus 105. So I don't know. People were like just thought that number was too high and was waiting for the confirmation and then smoked the under. But either way, I still think it's good. So I'm still giving it out. I'd obviously take it at a better number at over 21.5. It's just an increased usage rate with no Wemby. Like obviously this goes back to last year. So if you want to take that with a grain of salt, that's fine. But last 10 games he's played without Wemby, he's gone over the 22.5 number in 8 of 10 games. If you got over 21.5, he's done that in 9 of 10 games because one of them he got exactly 22. Most of that is from scoring, averaging 17 points per game in those 10 games. But I think it's a really good matchup for his rebounds and assists. Like I was debating going with just assists. I was debating going with them combined, but the fact that he scores so much more without Wemby is why I decided to take the combined number. You wouldn't think it's a good matchup for Zach Collins because the Thunder give up they give up the fewest points per game to pick and roll men. But if you look at Zach Collins' shooting profile, he actually scores the majority of his points via spot up. Now he'll probably run more pick and roll with no Wemby, but they mostly just have him spotting up, and like he's not Karl Anthony Towns, but he can shoot a little bit. He's averaging over 5, or he took like 5 3-point attempts last game without Wemby. And the Thunder gave up the 2nd most points per game to spot up shooters. And as for the rebounds and assists, like you're right. Eventually, they probably are going to get taken advantage of with how small they are because like centers just abuse the Thunder from a rebounds and assist perspective. 5th most rebounds per game to centers and the 2nd most assists. And that assist prop, I actually kind of like I also had a separate ladder play on him to get to 4 plus assists, which was at plus 250, I think is what it was. Let me pull that up just to make sure. Plus 250, yeah, that's at Flip, 240 at ESPN Bet. Because they're so small, they have to be really aggressive when they're guarding big men. So they're like one of the best matchups for center assist props. Like 4 straight starting centers against 7 straight starting centers against the Thunder have hit their assist prop. And it's guys like Jokic, who's obviously in a different level. His over-under is 8.5. He had like 16. It's guys like Gogo Batadze, his over-under is 1.5, and he hits 4. Collins is a decent passer out of the high post, decent passer in running pick and rolls and stuff. Like he's not a total schmuck. He's not someone that just like gets the ball and either shoot or loses it. He's gotten 4 assists in 3 of 10 games this year. That's while playing 15 minutes per game. You figure he's going to play 25 minutes, which is what he played last game without Wemby. You could see a scenario in which he gets the 4 assists to cash out the plus 251. And then over PRA was my official play.
Jesus, you're all in on Zach Collins tonight, man.
Not a total schmuck.
Not a total schmuck.
Not a total schmuck.
Modi's analysis of Zach Collins, not a total schmuck.
Oh, man.
Toast is in the comments accusing me of being a Zag. I'm surprised Toast is showing his face after Paul Skeens was named Rookie of the Year. For those of you that weren't watching during baseball season, he was flexing his whatever the hell Jackson Merrill Rookie of the Year ticket, saying he was taking his family on vacation with that. I'm surprised that he hasn't gone into hibernation after that one. Lindy?
Yeah, we're going to Dairy Queen with going on vacation. It's time, baby. Sorry, Toasty. That sucks, my guy. But I'm going to a different San Antonio Spur, and I'm kind of doing something Modi's been talking about a little bit here. I like the look of going to the plus money FanDuel number on Stephon Castle, 7.5 rebounds plus assists. Everything you said about OKC is true, and it's the same thing I talked about with Charlotte too, where they can't keep getting away with it. Aaron Paul, Breaking Bad gif. I mean, there's just nothing from a rebounding perspective. OKC basically sold out last year on the boards, and now you lose Chet Holmgren, who had kind of started to figure it out. Isaiah Hartenstein's still out. That was what he was brought in to do, was to shore up that inside. And, well, there's going to be a spot where we see a massive outlier rebounding game. Again, it hasn't necessarily shown up as much as you would expect, but they're still bottom 5 in rebounding percentage. And I think Stephon Castle, I really like dunks and threes. It's one of my favorite for basketball analysis. Estimated plus minus. When you look at a player, will he end up being a winning basketball player long term? And they have an upward profile on Stephon Castle, which is very rare for an ancillary rookie. Now, he was the 4th pick out of UConn. I mean, he's still a pretty highly touted piece by all metrics, but Stephon Castle is a winning basketball player, and we're starting to see those minutes on the rise. No Devin Vassell. He's questionable, but I don't think he's going to end up playing as an early add to the injury report. I think you're looking at 28, 30 minutes, potentially going up to 32, 33. It's also good when you get some of these rookies early on a bad team where even in some blowouts, they're still probably going to get that run. So there's a little bit of an insurance policy sitting on that. And I like what I've seen from him so far. Just over 3 assists per game. Obviously, sharing the floor with Chris Paul isn't going to help out that assist rate. 2.5 rebounds, but you adjust that considering he's averaging right around 24 minutes per game, and you put that up to 32, which is where he's going to play in competitive spots. I think Stephon Castle at plus money, 7.5 on FanDuel, plus 112 is a really good look.
Helms says he's laying it with Oklahoma City, so you could put Spurs up for me.
Good move.
Shout out to Helms. I don't really have much for this one. This number was 7 yesterday. You could have got in before Wemby got hurt, before Wemby was ruled out. OKC, to your point, Kyle, OKC was 7.5 point favorites, 8.5 point favorites or more 7 times last season. They covered 1 of those 7 spreads. They were 1-6, but the totals went 5-2 to the over. I don't have anything on this game. I wanted to get there with San Antonio team total under, thinking that the offense would really struggle once again, but the numbers are a tad bit too low for me at like 106.5. So I stayed off.
All right, let's skip over to the last game. Utah, LA. I mean, Lindy, anything for this one? I'm good.
I have the thinnest play on planet Earth, and it's a guy who's questionable in Rui Hachimura. The usage hasn't been there as much as you would expect. I think JJ Redick, obviously, it's It's going through Anthony Davis and LeBron James here at the moment, but he's sitting questionable. When you have a guy who sits out for this long, I think he could have played the other night, but they've just kind of been cautious with him in the early going. It's a very thin team. They announced today that they're looking for a 5, like a true 5, a true big today. I don't think that's an announcement that was necessary. I think we are pretty aware that Anthony Davis doesn't like to play the 5, especially come playoff time. They're looking for anything they possibly can to relieve those defensive duties from him so that he can just focus on putting the ball in the basket, which he's done a pretty damn good job of this season. 65.1% true shooting percentage, shooting 40% from 3. I did give the threes a look here. That was something that was on my card a lot earlier in the season. And of course, now he's knocking down like 2 a game in the last 5. And it hasn't been on my card one time, which is pretty tilting. But Rui Hachimura, he's questionable. So if you're making it like a parlay piece, be aware of that. Obviously, every book has their own rules. There's whatever ridiculous Fanatics thing where they like void your ticket, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But keep that for what it is, friends. Rui Hachimura, 11.5 points. I expect that usage to start being on the rise sooner rather than later. 15.4% in 337 minutes. However, he's kind of been bubble wrapped for the last week. I think this is a good spot to utilize him against a porous, terrible, horrible, no good, very bad Jazz defense.
Taking another Zag. Toast is fired up with the show today with all the Zag love. Modai, anything of this one?
Yeah, I took Anthony Davis over 7.5 first quarter points, -118 odds at FanDuel was the best price. Let me make sure that's still current. Yeah, I mean, you just want to avoid -113, and it's over 8.5. Sorry, I totally butchered that. Over 8.5, -113. I was thinking of something else. Yeah, I mean, you want to avoid blowout potential in this one. And Anthony Davis has been awesome this year. I mean, he's been awesome from like just if you look at his normal point prop, not just the first quarter, but he's also been starting fast. He's hit this in 8 of 12 games. One game he scored exactly. He got close. Every game he scored at least 6. So like the floor is there. It's a great matchup against the Jazz. I mean, the Jazz defense is terrible, as Lindy just explained. And Anthony Davis, like he's averaging 10 points in the first quarter, second most, taking out Ben Caro, who's barely played this year, in a plus matchup against the Jazz, who struggle with the scoring profile. Like the only thing that Anthony Davis does well is get to the rim, get fouled and get to the free throw line. And the Jazz don't foul at a super high rate, but everything else, I mean, roll man, transition, all that stuff is plus for Anthony Davis. So yeah, first quarter points over 8.5, -113.
Chris, you backing your guys?
Absolutely not. Not with this type of spread. But that is the way that I would look. I can't lay 11.5 with the Lakers. Like, you know, the spill. The audience probably knows this spill. I can't become emotionally and financially invested with the Lakers to win this game by double digits and they mess around and win by 9. But it is a Lakers spot. I will say that. So people keeping track of like these whole cup things. The Lakers, for whatever reason, take the cup thing very serious. The cup game's very serious. They're 8-0 straight up. I think they're the only undefeated team against the spread as well. They're 8-0 against the spread in in-season tournament games so far, dating back to last season. This is first game back after a little short 2-game road trip. And they are really one of, 2 teams that are undefeated at home, 6-0 straight up, 5-1 against the number. Going back to last season, 6-0 straight up, 4-2 against the spread as double-digit home favorites. You got the injury to Walker Kessler. He remains out. And on the Utah side, this is 3rd game in 4 nights, 4th game in 6 nights, 5th game in 8 nights. So looking at, these dogs, 5th game in 8 nights on the road, road dogs, 5th game in 8 nights since the 2018 season, getting double digits. They only cover about 43%. So 57% play on percentage play on the Lakers here. I couldn't get there. Maybe a team total that's on the move too, because the total went up. Lakers have scored 122 points in 4 of their 6 home games so far. Not expecting the Jazz to play slow. I couldn't get there with anything on this one though.
Someone said telling me to take Cleveland at the point, saying don't be a homer, Kyle. If you think me betting Boston is a homer, man, I'm a Mets fan, a Knicks fan. I hate Boston. It's a close second to Philadelphia, man. It's the opposite of a homer bet in that garbage city, man.
That's a lie. He has a Jared Saltalamacchia signed autograph. I've seen it.
I do not have a Saltalamacchia signed anything. All right.
Scalabrini, just bringing it home.
No, that guy.
He played for the Nets, too. All right, let's talk college football. Make sure you clear the board so they can all see. Real quick, you guys, Lindy, want to tell them where they can find your stuff?
Yeah, oddshopper.com. You guys can find me on X at Eric Lindquist, just my name. I'm Lindy. Thanks for having me.
Chris?
Yeah, at Crispy Capping 2 P's 2 N's over on Twitter, on YouTube as well. Appreciate you having me on, Kyle. Best of luck tonight, fellas.
And Matt, if they found you compelling, where can they find your stuff?
Yeah, if you found me compelling on Twitter at Jedi Modai, YouTube on that same at Jedi Modai, and posting Newsweek articles, all that good stuff. So yeah, check me out there.
All right, can we talk about some real sports? Akron, Kent State up next.
Best of luck tonight, fellas.
See you, gentlemen.
All right, let's get Andrew. He's Snooky today.
Let's get Snook on the stage. Thank you. I wish I would have executed it better. Signed autograph? What the hell is that? Come on.
Yeah, signed autograph is terrible.
Tough. Tough.
You butchered the delivery.
Tough. I'm honestly gonna have nightmares about it tonight.
All right, so we're talking Akron, Kent State, and is this the one you liked, Andy?
Yeah, I like the over here.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Although I struggled to get which.
I just 49.5 is a big number, but I would lean towards the over as well. But go ahead, you're on the over.
If you look at it for both of these teams, and that's up Kent State's been pretty goddamn awful this year. They've had games where they've scored 30 plus, up in the upper number of touchdowns they'll score. Like, they've had a pretty decent season in terms of offense against bad defenses. That's what they're seeing. Akron's not good either. They're both really bad.
I push back a little bit there.
I mean, if you look at the numbers, both teams are terrible. We know they're 114th in DFEI. Like, that's better than Kent State, because Kent State is 129th or 134th, which is dead last. But their defenses are both terrible, and both teams have been able to take advantage of the worst defenses they've seen this year. So I think we'll see a lot of points. There's no weather issues. Usually in the MAC games, you have to worry about that. Not a single weather issue here. So I just think there's going to be a lot of points scored. Nobody's going to be able to stop anybody. So 49.5 at that point is pretty low to me.
Okay, so I agree with a lot of what you just said, but I think it applies more so to the Akron offensive side. So I agree. Akron's going to score points on Kent State's defense. Kent State's defense is terrible, probably the worst defense in all of college football, because Kennesaw State's defense has actually shown signs of life here and there. Kent State's defense is terrible. Like you said, the weather's fine. I'm on board with Akron scoring points. The reason I would lean closer to Akron minus 10 rather than the over is if you actually look at Akron's defensive numbers over the last 4 games, it's not that bad. I mean, 37.3% success rate. It's not that terrible. And they played Buffalo. They've been scoring some points. Eastern Michigan can put up some points. Northern Illinois, not the most explosive offense, but a very good team. Northern Illinois was in some questionable weather, though. And Western Michigan, one of the strongest offenses in the conference. So I'm with you that Akron should have no problem scoring points on Kent State. But on the other side, I think there's a path to Akron's defense making stops. So I would lean towards Akron minus the points rather than the over. This is the only game of the 3 I didn't bet, though. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Last week we talked about this one, and I was like, we were talking about Akron, Northern Illinois, and if you remember, I said I'd lean Akron plus the points and the under. Didn't bet either, and they both hit. Great, left money on the table. But I said, guys, the time to buy in on Akron is next week against Kent State. I thought it was going to be like 7.5, 10.5 is a little pricey. All right, Western Michigan, Central Michigan. Not gonna lie, I don't like my bet here. I bet this, and I don't often cash out. Usually, even if I get hit with injury news or something, I'll just let it rock. I have the fear of like cashing out and it ends up winning anyway. So I usually don't do that. Not cashing out, all right, so I'm on Western Michigan. That's my bet. I laid 6.5. Pretty sure you can get 6 now, by the way. So, which confirms my suspicion that I may have made a mistake here. The market seems to be slightly against me. There's no question that Western Michigan should be able to score here. Is there weather in this game, Andy?
Not that I know, but I'll look up.
When I looked yesterday, it looked like the weather was going to be fine, but somebody commented on the YouTube video saying that the weather's supposed to be questionable. But yeah, so it's probably just a psychopath commenting. So as long as the weather's fine, I'm in. This Western Michigan offense, one of the better offenses in the conference, but specifically the reason I like the matchup is this is a Western Michigan offense that runs the ball. They want to run the ball first. They do have a quarterback that can throw it in Hayden Wolf, but they want to run the ball. And the reason that's significant to me is if you look at Central Michigan's schedule, I have it open right here. I'm not going to read off all the lists, but this entire season, they've only seen one rushing offense. The Ohio game back in week 7. So that Ohio game, that was the only game they played against an offense that runs the ball. That's it. Every single other one of their games is against pass-first offenses. In that Ohio game, they allowed over 8 yards per carry, 283 yards on the ground. So now we see them up against another rushing offense for the second time, just the second time this year. And by the way, I think Western Michigan's rushing attack might be better than Ohio's. This is a dangerous rushing attack. So I think Western Michigan's going to hand the ball off, get 6 yards per carry, and Central Michigan's not going to be able to get off the field defensively. Now, the reason I'm a little bit hesitant of my bet is on the other side, I'm starting to get a little worried that this might be a sneaky little buy low spot on the Central Michigan offense because it's looked absolutely terrible. Labas got hurt. Burt Emanuel got hurt. They lost their top 2 quarterbacks. They're switching back and forth between QB3 and QB4. I think Glasser, QB4, is officially the starter now, which probably is the right decision. He looks slightly better than Jefferson. But Glasser is going to be the starting quarterback. So I think the consensus is, Central Michigan's offense is terrible because they have no passing attack, and they've really looked pretty bad in the last handful of games before the quarterback injury. But if you actually look at their schedule, they played Ohio, Miami of Ohio, Bowling Green in the pouring rain, and Toledo. 3 of those games, 3 of the toughest defenses in the conference. The Bowling Green was in the pouring rain. The only game where they actually played a bad defense in there was Eastern Michigan, and they actually moved the ball in that game. They averaged 6.3 yards per carry. So with the weather good, this Western Michigan defense isn't good. I kind of wish I bet the over instead of Western Michigan -6.5. I'm letting it rock. I still think I'm getting the much better team here. Central Michigan doesn't have a passing attack, so maybe I still hit. I kind of wish I bet the over, though. So you could put over as my secondary bet. But yeah, I'm on Western Michigan. I'm letting it rock.
Yeah, I'm also on Western Michigan. Very similar reasons. I mean, I think they're going to be able to run the ball. Like you said, they ran all over, or Ohio ran all over the Central Michigan team. They haven't really been tested since. You can say you worry about the Central Michigan offense on the Western Michigan because Western Michigan's defense is god-awful. But when you're down to your 3rd and 4th quarterback, those guys haven't had a lot of time with these guys. They don't know these guys. So if you're going to tell me they need to throw the ball in this game, I don't really see it. I'm not necessarily a big fan of the rush attack either for Central Michigan. So maybe you think it's a buy low spot. You would know more than me from that standpoint. But I just think they're bad, and they're down to the point where they're at their 4th quarterback. So I don't think there's a lot of continuity there. I know they're at home, but I don't think that's really going to help them. At a touchdown, I think Western Michigan should win this game comfortably.
All right, next game. Oh, is this down to 1.5 now?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord CLV strikes again, sarcastically. But no, I did get NIU +2.5. Yeah, I actually, this has grown into. I think this is I like this one better than the other one. Like I said, I don't really love either of my bets tonight, but this one I would still double down and take this again. I think I'm on the right side here with Northern Illinois. You could say a lot about the offensive problems Northern Illinois has had this year. Last couple of games, they seem to have gotten it together, but they played a couple bad defenses on the road against an elite Miami of Ohio defense. That's a tough ask. You're in a tough spot here. But so I'm conceding that the last couple games for Northern Illinois, whatever, this is going to be tough. They're going to struggle to move the ball here. They're going to try to run it. Probably going to have a hard time doing so. But on the other side, I think this is such a beautiful sell high spot on the Miami of Ohio offense. They've been putting up points the last handful of games, and everyone seems to have completely forgot that this offense looks straight up bad for the first half of the season. Not just like, they were struggling a little bit. They were averaging what? Hold on. I believe it's 13 points a game. 1 second. I have it here. First 5 games, they're averaging 13.6 points per game, 5 yards per play. This offense looked terrible. They seem to have gotten it together, but that's because they played, ready? These are the defensive rankings that Miami of Ohio has played in their last 5. 106, 75, 115, 130, 134. So yeah, their offensive numbers look better in the last 5 games because they've played the easiest defensive schedule ever in the last handful of games. Northern Illinois, their defense might even be better than Miami of Ohio. They've been playing elite defense this year, specifically against the pass, which is what Miami of Ohio wants to do. I think this is a stalemate. I think both offenses are really going to struggle here. The reason I bet Northern Illinois, Miami of Ohio can afford to lose this game as long as they win next week. They're still in this game isn't meaningless at all, but if Miami of Ohio wins, they still have to win next week, right, Andy?
Yeah, definitely.
They have to beat Bowling Green next week. That's what Miami, to be in the MAC championship game, Miami of Ohio has to beat Bowling Green next week. Obviously, if they win, it'll help with the tiebreakers, but they need that's the biggest game of the year for Miami of Ohio is next week. Meanwhile, Northern Illinois already got eliminated from the MAC championship game, playing with house money. I think they take this one. So yeah, I'm on NIU here. I would imagine a lot of people are going to the other side.
Yeah, I'm on the other side. You said it. The difference in between their schedule early in the year. I mean, Miami of Ohio scheduled Cincinnati, Northwestern, and Notre Dame to start the season. They also had UMass in there, and they actually their first offensive explosion was against UMass. They scored a whopping 23 points. They scored 9 points on Notre Dame and Northwestern, so that drained their points per game in the first half of the season. I'm not going to hate on anybody for not being able to score on Northwestern or Notre Dame. They're both very good defenses. Northwestern sucks. Their defense is really good. So I'm not going to hate on them for that. And yes, they've figured it out against bad defenses, but I think that helps them. They've figured it out. So do I automatically think they're going to revert back to what they were at the beginning of the year? No. Just because they're seeing a good defense doesn't mean that they're just going to lose all the momentum they've gained. I don't think that's necessarily what's going to happen. Do I think that they're going to be as dominant? No. But I also think Northern Illinois is not exactly the greatest offense either. I think this is going to be a slow, boring game.
Okay, so hold on. How come you're giving the Miami of Ohio offense the they figured it out shit, but you're not saying the same thing about Northern Illinois, who's had back-to-back big offensive games?
Because they're the better team. Miami of Ohio is the better team. Oh, okay.
You're wrong on this one.
Go to the MAC championship, huh? Yeah, this better team. I will say, as long as it was within a field goal, I think this game's going to be 1 to 2 points because I think this under could possibly hit, and it's at 43, which is crazy. I think both offenses could get shut down if the game went perfectly for the other team's defense, but I think it could be a slow, boring game. I'd side Miami of Ohio, though. I definitely like the other 2 games more, which is saying something.
NIU. All right.
College winning the conference. That was funny.
College basketball. Am I on the screen for college basketball? Because I'd rather. All right, let's go. All right, it's just that. All right, quick, get Toast on the screen because I have to record. We're doing Patriots Dolphins tonight. Heater.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a Toast and Andy template set up with the names? All right, cool. Talk to you guys later, by the way.
Later, Dad. That's what everybody calls him in the comments. It's so funny to me. What's going on, everybody? Just really quickly while Beaver's getting everything set, I would like to address the Paul Skeens, Jackson Merrill situation. It's an absolute joke. We all know that. I'm not going to say anything else. Paul Skeens had the luxury of taking 2 months off. All those numbers would have came back to haunt him later on in the season. Not taking anything away from him, but Jackson Merrill came in spring training, took over center field, Silver Slugger, all-star, led that team to the playoffs, played over 1,300 innings. Paul Skeens played like 131 innings. Absolute joke. But here we are, college basketball today. We talked a little bit about these games last night. We're going to talk a little bit more about them today. Shocker, Scoop figured out a way to get out of work again.
Yeah, I know.
It's fucking a shocker. So I think you and I kind of had the same idea with this game last night, Andy. But I actually kind of flipped the ship a little, or flipped my boat over a little bit. I ended up playing Kentucky. I don't know what your thoughts on it are, so why don't you go ahead and go first, and I'll explain my bet after.
Yeah, I like Kentucky. I think that this team's, like I said yesterday, the experience has made a huge difference for them. I didn't expect that necessarily. I thought they were going to struggle early on. Especially with the schedule they played. They had Duke. Obviously, they were looking ahead to that Duke game. They beat Duke, and they've used that experience, and it's helped them a ton. So I really don't think that they're going to get tripped up by this Lipscomb team. I said last night my big point was Lipscomb's style could confuse some teams. Not a team with a lot of veterans that are running a fast pace anyway. So it's not like Lipscomb can confuse them and get in their heads. So I think that there's too many advantages for Kentucky. And also some teams, and I know we were talking about this before, you have to worry about what if a team really wants to just keep their foot on the pedal. Kentucky has seemingly been a team that wants to do that. They can continue to hit shots. So there's some teams that'll play it easy. They'll put their young guys in, and there's some teams that'll just let it ride. Kentucky's one of those teams that lets it ride. So the only way Lipscomb keeps this close is if they come out roasting hot from three. I don't see that happening, especially against Kentucky's defense with those veterans. So yeah, I just don't think this is a good situation for Lipscomb. They'd have to come out roasting hot, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I as you guys know, if you've watched this show or seen me on Twitter, I've fallen in love with this Kentucky team very fast. I've said that Mark Pope has assembled the Avengers, and Andy touched on that. I think part of that is the coaching, and part of that is the depth, and not only the depth that you have, obviously multiple guys that you can play, but how old those guys are. I mean, a lot of these guys are senior-laden guys that have been around the block, especially in college basketball a lot, whether it be Amari Williams or Lamont Butler or Andrew Carr or Kirk Creaser or Jackson Robertson or what have you. But also the experience factor. Kentucky, one of the top 5 most experienced teams in the country. They're also one of the deepest teams in the country. And again, I think that Mark Pope is a little bit underrated as a coach. And we talked last night briefly about maybe that Kentucky takes their foot off the pedal later in this game. I found a little nugget here. Mark Pope has covered a spread of over 20 points 12 straight times in non-con games against teams that not in the top 100. Lipscomb's about 129 in KenPom right now. The more I find, or the more I talk to my friends in the media and whatnot, Mark Pope is very aware what the point spread is, and he's very aware that winning by margin gets you points in KenPom, which is part of what the selection committee uses. So I don't think that we have to worry about Kentucky being an at-large bid, but when it comes to maybe if they're a 4 or a 2 seed or what have you, that could make the difference. I'm not saying this game specifically, but there's a reason for them to continue to run up the score. So I did put a small half unit play on Kentucky minus 20 and a half, 21. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So anywho, next game up. Andy's got a lock in this game. He's been talking about it for all day. So Andy, why don't you kick us off with a little Ohio State Evansville action?
Yeah, I really like the under here. Both teams run slow paces. Evansville, it's gonna be really tough for them to do what they want to do. They want to shoot threes. Ohio State is a really good 3-point defending team. So I mean, it's just a terrible style. Stylistically, these teams are. Ohio State is exactly what Evansville doesn't want to see. So yeah, I really don't like that. I thought the line would be better. I thought Evansville's not a pushover program usually. It looks like they might be this year, but. I just don't think that there's going to be many points from the Evansville side in this one. So I think that Ohio State would probably have to score 90 for them to be the main reason here for this to hit. So for the over to hit. So yeah, I'm going to be on the under because honestly, Ohio State's also shooting pretty well to start the season. I don't know that that's going to completely stay. It didn't stay against A&M, so I don't know that it's going to.
Yeah. And that's, I 100% agree with the under. I really wanted to end up playing Ohio State. I didn't because I 100% agree with you. Ohio State.
Toes, real quick, something just happened with your audio. Would you mind just leaving, come back real quick?
Yeah.
It happens sometimes. I don't know what it is where like it makes the audio sound like almost like 3D-esque. Just leave and come back. It'll be like 2 minutes.
Come on.
Do you know what his pick was for this game, perhaps?
Yeah, he wanted to play Ohio State.
Okay. He is back, but the audience is not going to hear you until I add you back. So just 1 second. And you do sound clear, so you should be good now. All right. Yep. And now you go.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, I just lean Ohio State. I agree with Andy as far as the under as well. I don't think that Ohio State is going to continue to shoot little over 40% from deep as a team. So, which I think that makes their effective field goal percentage up. But I think the huge issue for me is if Evansville is rebounding. I think Ohio State, who is much bigger than them and has done a really good job, especially on the offensive boards this year, that puts a lot of pressure on the other team. Not to mention the fact Ohio State can shoot free throws. Evansville can't. Again, I didn't bet it, but it'd be Ohio State or the under for me for sure. Next game up, the biggest game of the night. Holy steam, I guess. So Marquette, Purdue. Obviously, we talked about this game last night. I played Marquette at 2.5. It is at 5.5 in some books now. Absolutely ridiculous. Andy, what are your thoughts on this game? Obviously, everybody knows mine. I'll talk about it a little bit more after you're done.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty clear. I really like Shaka in this game. I like this Marquette team in this game. I think Purdue, a lot of their win over Alabama was because of the environment, right? And I said that was kind of what it was going to be. Purdue, it's a really tough place to go into play, and they usually get hot from three there. Not going to happen in an NBA arena where there's going to be a lot of Marquette fans. I don't think that the environment's going to be good for them. At the same time, this has gotten a little ridiculous. It opened at 2, and it's now 5. I don't know why everyone on earth is on Marquette. I thought that would be – I didn't think that people would be on Purdue, but I mean, everyone is on Marquette. So maybe everyone's right here, but it kind of freaks me out that literally I have not seen a single person that's betting Purdue. I know they're coming off a big win. It's usually good to fade people there. So I'm going to do it, but I'm very weary of this now because at this point, I wouldn't even bet this game because if you're betting Marquette, you might as well just not. You've missed the number. I mean, this is ridiculous that it's at 5 now.
So you're to clarify,
Marquette, but
okay.
I wouldn't bet it at this point.
Yeah, I think that if you have to play 5.5, I think that you probably look to the first half. Personally, I think that's probably a decent spot. If you really wanted to play it, put Marquette in a money line parlay with somebody like that. I know the Sauce played the Celtics, maybe do something like that. But as far as I'm concerned, before this line jumped like this, obviously very impressed with Marquette with what they did against Maryland on the road. I actually thought that Marquette would struggle in that game with Julian Reese and stuff, and they really didn't. And I think that here, that size plays a big advantage to them. Again, with what do we know about Purdue? They're going to play through their guards in Lawyer and Smith. I don't think that they're going to be able to do as well. One, Alabama plays a lot of drop coverage, which is something that gives Purdue a lot of room. They're not going to see that at all today. I think Alabama only forced Purdue into 2 turnovers that game, or maybe none. I don't remember. It was a very, very small number. Do you know?
Very few. I think it was.
Yeah, I was going to say it's 2. It could have been 0. I don't know, but they definitely didn't put the pressure on them like you're going to see with Marquette. And I think that that's going to matter when you have guys like Jones, who's 6'5", and Mitchell, who's 6'3". I think that I don't know if Purdue really has the legs to run with Marquette this full game too. Not to mention the fact Purdue won't shoot 45% from deep this whole year. I think that some of their shooting numbers are kind of inflated because they've been at home in Mackey. Now this being their first game on the road, I see some regression there. Not to mention shot quality has Marquette as like a top 10 3-point defense in the country right now. So I think that first half, even the first half has went up. But yeah, everything. Again, if you're playing Marquette now at this point, just know that everybody in the world's on it and you're getting the absolute worst of the number. If you are and you dead set want to play it, I play that first half -3. So
weird situation for Marquette. After the game, they could get right on a plane, go to the Bahamas. So weird situation, just saying.
When's that game in the Bahamas though?
Saturday morning. Weird.
Saturday morning,
they're
right?
going there for one game. They're
Yeah,
just playing one game.
to beat Georgia's ass, and then they're going to get back on the plane and fly home.
It's going to be a beautiful time to take my place. It's going to be a beautiful.
Here's a game. Samford, Michigan State. Me and Andy disagree on this one, so I actually ended up kind of agreeing with you a little bit after that line move we talked about last night. So I did play the over as well, just in case Michigan State puts up like 90 to 100. But go ahead, explain to them your Izzo love.
It's not only Izzo love.
I know.
Style. I always talk about the style of the teams that facing each other here. Michigan State can't shoot threes. They're awful at it. They're one of the worst. They're honestly one of the worst teams in the country, not just in power conferences. They're just one of the worst teams in the country in shooting threes. So they pretty much don't have to do it here. They're going to be able to eat inside. They have a significant size advantage. The 2-point defense for Samford inside the 3-point line, they're not a good defensive team. And that's where Michigan State's been scoring all their points. So I think they're going to eat inside. And then on the other side, if you don't know Samford, Buckyball, they just shoot threes. This is a 3-point shooting team. Michigan State defending the 3 very well. They defended Kansas well. They defended obviously some also pretty bad teams, Monmouth and Niagara, but they're defending the 3 very well. So I think that's just going to be brutal for Samford. I don't really know how Samford's going to keep it close if they're not able to hit threes, because you're not going to be able to do anything inside either. So I think this could get out of hand quickly. Samford, a lot like Lipscomb, would have to be roasting hot from 3, and I don't know how they're going to do that against this defense. So I think that this could get on.
Yeah, obviously the size is a big factor. I agree with Andy with all that. That's why it's hard for me, especially I played Samford at plus 15.5, and I also played the over as well. Obviously, you can get Samford now at plus 17.5. I think it's going to stay there. But also, this is going to be the best 3-point shooting team that Michigan State has seen this year. The only other team that I would consider comparable as a 3-point shooting team that they've seen this year is Kansas, which they lost that game. Obviously, I don't think that Kansas and Samford are anywhere close to each other as far as talent is concerned. But one note I did find reading up on this game, I think my buddy Greg posted about this. Izzo in these like get right spots hasn't been really good. They lost to James Madison last year. Next game they didn't cover. They lost to Portland the year before that. Then they got smacked by Notre Dame. But regardless of all that, I just think that Michigan State laying 15, 17, whatever it is, when they have 12 made free 3-pointers this whole season, and Samford's averaging 12 made threes a game. So I just feel like we know what you're going to get out of Buckyball, who also can match Michigan State with depth. Both of these teams play a pretty deep bench. As far as bench minutes this year, Samford's 15, Michigan State's number 9. But again, it's just Michigan State defensively inside, yes, they're going to wreak havoc. But as far as everything else, I just think that you're going to see Samford chucking up a whole bunch of shots. And even if they shoot 30% off of 50 shots from deep, I think that's going to be enough to cover this number, if not push this game over. Michigan State just doesn't score enough for me. They have no 3-point shot at all. So yes, they're probably going to cook inside, but both these teams are good free throw shooting teams as well. So I probably like the over more than I like Samford plus the points. But again, there's no way in hell I think that Michigan State's a 17-point favorite over Samford. Not right now. So anywho, one last game on the board.
You love
another holy steam. Santa Clara, UC Riverside. Any thoughts on this now that this game's at 15.5? That's an exaggeration. It's a joke. I think it's at 8.5. It's still ridiculous. Andy?
It opened at 5, right? And it's
I got it at 5.5. I got Santa Clara minus 5.5.
I said I think Santa Clara is going to dog walk them, but
yeah, so do
I. It doesn't. I mean, at this point, you're basically asking for that. It's a significant advantage in every way. I mean, they've played better teams. They started the season. I think it was the standalone game, right? That's why I think everybody watched it, right? It's against St. Louis.
Everyone 9.5 on FanDuel right now.
Whatever.
It's 9.5 on FanDuel right now.
Yeah, I mean, so at this point, we're asking for an ass kicking, and I think you're going to get that. I just think they're significantly better in every way. So, Riverside's not a pushover, but I think Santa Clara is one of the better mid majors in the country. So.
Yeah, I think offense. I'm sorry. First of all, I think that UC Riverside.
Oh no.
I mean, not a big deal if it's out here. I mean, I'm sure you'll come back in a second.
There you go.
Oh, did I leave? Oh, my bad.
Your audio doesn't sound bad this time. Andy, can you hear him?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, as long as you can hear him, then we're fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, UC Riverside is significantly smaller than Santa Clara. Santa Clara is one of the top 20 teams as far as height in the country. UC Riverside's in the mid 200s. Also, Santa Clara has got a much deeper, more experienced team. Like I said, I think they're just going to absolutely eat inside. Santa Clara can't shoot the 3-ball at all. UC Riverside does a really good job of defending the 3-ball. Unfortunately for Riverside, Santa Clara is shooting almost 55% from inside the 3-point line this year. UC Riverside 283 on KenPom as far as 2-point defense. So, maybe if this game is closer, like 3 or 4 possessions late, maybe the Santa Clara not being able to shoot free throws comes back to haunt them a little bit. But as I talked about last night, Santa Clara has a couple of guys that hasn't shot the 3-ball well lately. They've shown that they can in their career. Again, I think that Santa Clara dog walks them. I think it's going to be a 15-point game, but again, you shouldn't be laying 9.5 or even 8.5 at this point. So Santa Clara wins. Maybe if you wanted to do like a Santa Clara Marquette moneyline parlay or something like that to get away from the juice. I don't know what that number is. I'm just trying to giving you guys a pivot, but I'm just saying at this number, I wouldn't play Santa Clara because it continues to only go up. So
I'm gonna look.
Beaver, do you want to hit us with the community parlay or however you do it?
Yes,
I did send you an email.
Yes, Uncle Toasty sent us the community parlay pick, so let's hit it.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We community, making a parlay, yeah.
And I have a great talking point for us while we do this, so let me set it up real quick. And it's about kickers. Do you know
Oh.
who I'm going to be mentioning? Toast?
I not positive. No,
It's a coach.
I have no idea.
It's Darren Rizzi. Dude, does this guy have a hex? Why are opposing kickers 1 of 7 against him, including, if you include the penalty kick, why are they 1 and 7 against him?
I don't know, man. That's I didn't even know that stat, but that is absolutely wild, and I'm literally writing it down right now.
I witnessed Dustin Hopkins miss a 27-yarder against him. A penalty occurred. And then I think the Browns tried 2 plays, didn't work, went for a 22-yarder, then missed that as well. I mean, what Rizzi's got going out there on the special teams unit, we've never seen anything like it. I think kicker unders against the Saints might be a new system. You've never been a kickers unders guy, but you might have to be.
He only likes to see kickers do good.
Yeah, I'm a kicker forward thinker. You know, it's just a market that I feel like is not appreciated, and I continue to kill it, especially with Chris Boswell doing his thing. That's always nice. But I will say,
offense gets more touchdowns.
yeah, teams against the Chargers. That's another team. That's a team that you can focus on with kickers because the Chargers are so good defensively in the red zone.
So you're telling us system plays?
To a point, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't remember. That's right. McPherson had 50 opportunities. He missed them all. That's what it was. Okay. I forgot about that. I didn't play him, but I was trying to remember what happened that game. But yeah,
This week's the Tucker revenge game.
well, Tucker sucked for months. I've been trying to tell people that. No one wants.
He's
to
not going to want. He's going to be in the perfect condition. If they get multiple opportunities and he misses them on Monday, he should be cut.
Okay, so the first leg of the community parlay is the Mavericks money line. Next leg will be.
I saw somebody was asking about.
Going to be either.
Paul Scheme's not winning rookie.
Second.
Dude, I've got like probably 150 messages that I haven't opened.
Okay, so Thunder.
Little do they know that I hedged out of it. It's all good. Not
Said
nearly.
before about Kentucky not needing an at-large bid. You were joking about that, right? You know
Me?
that they're not winning the SEC.
I'm just saying I don't think they're going to be in a position where we're like they're on the bubble. I guess I should have been on
They
the bubble.
certainly won't be on the bubble, but they'll
Sorry.
need these
I
wins.
should have said on the bubble, but
Well, the bubble is going
just
to
keep on
year, though.
just keep on discrediting the Avengers. Go ahead, Andy. It's all
I'm
good.
just saying they're not. They don't. I mean, maybe it's gonna be different with Coach Pope, but they don't.
EBD sent a super chat. Congrats, Paul Skeens, on winning NL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I had to read that because super
Congratulations.
chats, we have to read them. So
Yeah,
Congrats.
nothing wrong with that.
He seemed
not
really
gonna
happy about it last night. If you watched the interviews,
Yeah.
no.
Andy, did you make any other plays tonight that anybody
Yeah, I
could
have
tell?
Belmont. I have Belmont -10 against Oral.
Oh my God! Really?
I think
I
it's,
just bet Oral Roberts +10. You
did?
suck.
no. I love Belmont in that game.
You suck.
And then I have UCF. We talked about this one. I have UCF -24.5. I think Tennessee Tech is a worthy opponent. That's the way that I put that. A worthy opponent. Good teams will play close games with them, but UCF will not. UCF is going to beat the crap out of them tonight. Tennessee Tech is a small team, so there's going to be a size advantage. They're crazy. UCF could shoot. Tennessee Tech only wants to shoot threes. UCF's pretty good defensive team. They're fine defensively against the three. So I know they had to play A&M, so they've had a little bit of a stacked schedule, but they're going to beat the crap out of Tennessee Tech today. Worthy opponent, though.
I played
all right.
UT
Mavericks and
Arlington.
Thunder money line.
Sorry, Beaver.
No, it's all good. Keep going, Kings.
I played UT Arlington +1.5. I played Kansas State -36.5. I'm gonna keep on riding Notre Dame, man. Notre Dame just keeps on doing well
Just
for
keep
me.
riding them.
I'm just gonna keep on riding them. You know, when those
Keep
big
riding
bodies are banging inside, you just gotta let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So Notre Dame for me, -17.5. I think it's around 18 now. It'd still be anything under 18.5. I'm good with.
What'd you think about the Tulane? Wow. Tulane.
TCU, I think TCU blows them out.
Seems to be a playoff team. I just said that.
What do you think about the Tulane game?
Tulane. Who do they play? Cookman, right?
Cookman, Bethune.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it personally because I probably didn't see it on the fans match. I I didn't get to look at every game because I had the college football.
If you're
video.
not a hardcore ball guy, just say it, Andy. But some of the fans are, and they want to know shit. Okay.
All right, my bad.
I think that Cookman is kind of looked down upon because they're 1-3, but they've played one of the hardest schedules in the country. I can't think of exactly who they've played right now. I know they've played
Tech,
Nebraska,
Purdue, Fort Wayne, and then they played South Carolina State.
Yeah, so I think that they're.
This one's a heater, guys. This one's an absolute heater, folks. I present to you community parlay. Mavericks money line, Thunder money line, Western Michigan money line -104. Wow.
If you guys have ever wondered what a plus EV bet is, this is your example right here.
It's plus EV right here, folks. Plus EV. So we reached new highs today. For the love of God, don't bet that. We'll try and be better tomorrow. And that is all. For the love of God, have a good day. Be good.
Have a good night, guys.